I'm Greg Hildebrandt. I just finished my 4th pinup painting on the nose cone of a World War II fighter plane. This one is a Tigercat. Her name is Patrona, and I did it for Lewis Air Legends in Texas. Take a look. I hope you enjoy.
Here we are back in Texas, ready to start our next warbird painting. Bob Cardin's kind enough to unload our supplies for us. It's 105 degrees in this hangar.
Welcome back.
But it's a little hard to get this whole plane with AC.
Yeah, no, that would be a
You know,
little
it's a lot easier to do it just with the one section versus the interior.
When we got here, we found that the folks had covered the plane, the section of the plane where I was going to paint, with this plastic sheeting so it could be air conditioned, because like I say, it was 105 degrees in the hangar, and we couldn't possibly paint under that condition. But ultimately we had to take it down because I had to stand back and see what I was painting, which is very disappointing because to me it looked like something out of a Terry Gilliam film, and I love Terry Gilliam films. But here's Howard Bertram, our friend and master sign painter and letterer. He showed up from Arizona to do the mask for our plane, and here it is, the mask ready to be put on.
And then this will be red.
Right.
And then this, and
Now,
that'll
are
blend
you
it
doing
up.
this kind of blend, or are you?
Low on the left.
Guys, if it gets too windy in there, I mean, we can adjust that.
That won't happen.
Okay.
Gene and Howard are trying to position the mask inside this tent, but it's getting a little cumbersome, so soon our new air conditioning is going to appear. And here it is.
The air conditioning.
Yes.
So down and over.
So we got to come down, Howard, about this much and over.
So now it's a matter of making sure that the mask is positioned properly, horizontally and vertically, that it looks parallel with all the parallel lines on the airplane. So there's a big discussion, everybody circles around. We're looking at photos of the plane itself, and now Howard's really getting meticulous about getting it positioned exactly right. Some more measuring, lots of discussion about this, making sure it's all properly positioned.
Too high? Is it too low? What?
So the issue is to make sure that it's positioned properly on the nose.
There's the La Patrona that's on there isn't parallel with the seam up there. And I know the seam isn't straight.
Right. What you're saying is it appears low on the left, right? Is that correct? If you're following these lines out.
That's exactly right.
Right.
And the only thing, and I know that's straight, at least I assume it's straight. The illusion is one of them's not straight.
Right. All right. Well, then let's do this. Yeah, we're just getting an orientation of.
Yeah.
What do you think?
The tent's been removed and the mask is going down into the plane. And I'm thinking about it as I watch Howard and Gina, the honor it is for me to be painting on these airplanes. It's a fantastic experience. Once the mask is removed, the next step is to sand the plane.
Here I get to be Greg's assistant, and I put the white paint down so he has a coating. And here I get to be Howard's assistant, so he can start airbrushing. He's going to put this dark blue base so that he can get a linear blend. He's going to go from blue to red, and then he's going to do all the lettering before Greg actually starts painting the girl.
That's how we do it. Round of year.
This is a fascinating thing to watch. Howard is going to peel this off. He's going to peel off the mask that creates the letters. And then he's going to work by hand. For as many times as I have seen him do this, either on a plane or actually in his shop, it never ceases to amaze me. Howard's finished peeling his mask, and now he's going to mix his paint, and he's going to start doing the border. He has a mask on the outside, but not the inside of the circle now. He's using a different kind of paint than Greg uses. He's using a lettering paint. He's using a lettering brush. The steadiness of his hand as you watch him on this inner circle, and he's never going to break that edge. Now he's going to peel that mask all the way around so that now we see the letters. There they are. And now he's going to do the rest of these by hand. It's amazing to see how steady and how even a line he can get with a very, very thin brush. Perfect all the way around the curves. Never makes a mistake, because you don't get to go back and fix it if you do. So he's going to do each of these letters. There's a thin, thick edge that he puts on them, gives them a little bit of depth. I call this having the patience of a saint. At this point, everyone's holding their breath. There's about 8 people watching Howard and praying that he's going to make it all the way to the edge. And he is. He's done. So once Howard finished the lettering, Greg transferred his sketch, just the outline, just the outside outline, onto the plane. Now I'm filling it in so that he has a white base. Once I've completed this, probably I'll do 2, maybe 3 coats for him, so it's solid white. I'll get the whole girl, the chair, the gun, everything in. Once I finish this part, Greg will transfer the entire sketch.
When Jane's finished, I tape down carbon paper onto the whited out surface, and then I'll lay my drawing on top of that and tape that down, and then transfer it with a ballpoint pen, start to mix my color up. Here I'm mixing up the skin color, which is the first color I usually do, just to kind of like establish the whole thing. And then mix up a series of values. You can see the center darker value there. It's basically red oxide, and that's kind of like the base color of the skin. Then I add lighter values to that, titanium white, and it gets warmer as it gets lighter. And then I start to add darker areas into that same color. And then I mix up colors for the dress, which is reds. There's a series of reds, about 4 values of red, and start to block that all in. First, it's like a big, faster pass, and I just kind of like get stuff in. And then gradually, as I move along, I start to refine things. But I'm constantly stopping and standing back, taking a look at it, seeing if everything's working right. Well, this video is about 15 minutes long. In actuality, it took about 8 days to paint this. And that's not entirely just painting time. I mean, I'm stopping and standing back and discussing it with Gene and making observations about where things have to be worked on a bit more and tightened up and shifted or altered. A thought that I always keep in mind is Leonardo da Vinci's advice to his students. Don't show your work to an art expert. Show it to the guy plowing the field, because after all, he's the one that you're doing it for, or she. And that's kind of like my philosophy. Especially working on these airplanes, anybody that comes by, I want their input and their observations, and I ask their opinion. I welcome their opinions, and in that process is what it's all about, to satisfy the particularities of the job that you're doing, whether it be painting on an airplane or illustrating a book. It's like you're not making it necessarily only for yourself. You're making it for other people too, and that's to me that's always the completion of the art. Is the beginning half of it, and the observer is the second half and the completion of it. Ultimately, there's only one person's opinion that really counts. That's the owner of this airplane, If he's not happy with this, I've totally failed. I don't care how many other people love it. So that's the thing that's always there in my mind also. When I was posing the model in my studio in New Jersey where I live, I needed a Tommy gun, so I asked Jean if she would find one for me on the internet, which of course she said to me, no, not a real one, but I'll get you a replica. But, you know, there's tons of them for sale, which surprised the hell out of me, real ones. But I've always wanted one since I was a little kid and saw the gangster movies and all that stuff, the Untouchables and whatnot. There's some kind of like, especially with the drum clip, there's something very nostalgic about that for me.
I've been representing Greg and watching him paint for 32 years. Still, to this day, I am fascinated with the process. He starts with a white piece of paper. He starts with a rough sketch, then a little more finished sketch. He brings in a model, puts her in a costume, puts the lights on her, and does a finished sketch, and then he sits down to do a painting, and the end result is just a magnificently beautiful woman. But what I find the most fascinating, especially with his pinup art, is that if it's an 8-day painting like this was, or a 12-day or a 20-day painting, almost all of the finesse is done in the finish, in the last day or two. This is where he does his blending, his final highlights, the sparkle, the skin-tight dress, that little sparkle in her eye that gives you that come-hither look that just makes a pinup a pinup.
This is the final day of the painting, and I've saved the smoke for the last thing to do. I wanted the letters to stand out better. The next thing I'll do is add all the final little details and highlights over the whole figure and the gun and the chair. There. The final highlights in the eyes. Now Jean is going to apply several coats of varnish over the entire surface of the painting. And with that, she'll be finished. The painting's done.
These warbirds are amazing pieces of art in themselves. A piece of history, and it's an honor for us, and we would like to thank everyone involved in this project, and especially the owner, for giving us this opportunity to yet again put nose art on another one of his beautiful planes.